So I'm here with...
Gerald Mosley,
Nice to meet you, Gerald. How old are you?
32.
And whereabouts are you from originally?
I was born here in Hamilton. The majority of my childhood was down in Kitchener-Waterloo. And then I moved back here with my mom when I was 16 because she had a bit of a drug habit and she wanted to get clean. So after she got clean, me and her moved back down to Kitchener again. And then when I was 19, I moved back to Hamilton and started my own life.
So, where would you consider your majority of your childhood?
The majority of my childhood was down in Kitchener.
And how was it growing up in Kitchener?
It was alright. Like, it's not it wasn't a overly large city and whatnot, but there's always, it's hard to word it, but like, quote unquote, the wrong side of the tracks. And I grew up in, wasn't the best of neighborhoods, but it was alright.
And how was it when you moved to Hamilton? What was that like?
It was okay. I went to high school up on the mountain there. And then when I moved back and started my own life when I was 19, it was difficult trying to find a place, but I had my own place for a while, 9 years, and things got difficult as things started getting more expensive, and then I ended up finding myself on the streets.
Do you have any siblings?
I have an older brother and an older sister.
Are you still in contact with them?
Once in a while. It's my sister, she kind of does her own thing. She's always been a bit of a pain in the ass, so to speak. Sorry about the language. And my brother, he grew up, when me and him kind of went our own ways, he went up north and moved in with an aunt and an uncle up there out in Huntsville.
Do you have any children?
I have 3 daughters.
Oh, nice. What are their ages?
They're all 3 years apart from one another. My eldest is 14. And got their names right there.
Nice. Have you been in contact with them?
Yeah, I still keep in contact with them. It's one of those, I can't say that I'm much of a dad if I don't, right?
So how was Hamilton when you were growing up at 19 compared to how it is now?
Besides the price of things going up, it's pretty much still the same.
When do you think things got a little worse?
About 3-4 years ago. Because 4 years ago, I started finding it a little bit more difficult keeping a roof over my head. And in the last 3 years, I've been bouncing around the shelters, and when I'm not staying at one of the men's shelters, I find myself in tents.
What's it like staying at a men's shelter?
It has its ups and its downs. I've met a lot of people. I've made a lot of really good friends, and at the same point, as I've met a lot of really good friends, I've ended up losing them as well. Some of them having drug habits and whatnot, and yeah.
Would you say Hamilton has like a fentanyl crisis?
It definitely has a fentanyl issue, that's for sure. But I would imagine almost any city has its drug problems. So it's a matter of the kind of person you want to be, whether you find yourself around the drugs and whatnot.
Do you remember when you first started using?
About 2 years ago for fentanyl and crystal. But before that, I've had my issues off and on with my drug habits, and it's a matter of keeping them in control is the harder part.
Are drugs like easily accessible?
It depends on the day, honestly. It's some days you have a hard time walking down the street without being asked if you have or if you need drugs. And then other days it's one of those nobody has anything because it's the middle of the month and everybody's already broke.
What are some of the craziest things that you've seen being homeless here in Hamilton?
Honestly, I don't find myself in that many crazy situations because I want to be a good parent, so I try to stay away from those kind of issues.
And do you think, or are there resources to help homeless people kind of back onto their feet here in Hamilton?
There is, but at the same time, it's the city has a hard time helping the homeless because of the inflation, the cost of everything going on. So the shelters have gotten smaller and whatnot, and trying to fit so many men into one building to the point where it's almost 300 men, and we're stuck in a 2-floor building, and you end up finding yourself sleeping in a room that has 5 beds in it, and there's 4 other men besides yourself, kind of thing. Makes it kind of hard to sleep, so that's why I find myself, when it's nice weather, I kind of go out and camp it.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thank you.